How do you pick a main? What's the deal? What's the exact process that you go through when you pick a main character? Well, it's very simple. Just pick the character that visually appeals to you the most. Let's go through the list right now. We're not going to go through every single character, but I'll give you a couple examples. Alright, so it depends on what you're looking for. Do you want a character that's going to get you easy wins in the very beginning? Do you want a character that's going to get you through the green ranks and the yellow ranks, but maybe plateau you at a certain spot to where you'll inevitably have to learn how to play the game? Or do you want a character that's going to teach you how to play Tekken at the very beginning? Do you want a character that just looks cool but might suck? Although there's really no characters that suck in the game. Every character's good on some level. It really is up to you. The thing that I look for is personality, looks, how cool their moves are, and the number one thing that I care about is, are they challenging? Is the character difficult to use? Is it going to push me as a player? Am I going to be able to learn a lot about the game and simultaneously challenge me while playing the character at the same time? Tekken's already challenging enough. Now, if we bring a character that's extremely challenging into the fray as well, you're not only going to be fighting against your opponent, you'll also be fighting against your own character. Like Kazuya, for example, who's my main character. I've been playing Kazuya about 30 years. Competitively, I've only been playing him just over a decade, but I love Kazuya. He is the utmost perfect character, in my opinion. I absolutely adore the execution required. I've got pretty, decent execution, I would say. I am a pad player, Kazuya main, but I do have a stick. I just don't know how to use the fucking thing. And I just would rather play the game the way that I know how to play the game, which is using a pad. So I like a challenge, like I said, and Kazuya is the utmost challenge. He's the hardest character in the game. So if you're like me and you want to pick a character that's extremely challenging and will test your skills pretty much immediately and not really carry you at all, then Kazuya is your guy. Similar characters to that, you probably want to go with someone like Steve here, who's also extremely difficult. This character will not carry you pretty much at all. You have to learn the fundamentals of the game if you're going to play a character like Steve. The same thing can apply to characters like Devil Jin, although he's a little more brain dead. Reina is similar in that sense, very difficult, but also has a lot of waifu properties. Waifu properties being, she's got a bunch of strings that she can just run up to you and hit you in the face and you're good to go, you know? If you really want to knowledge check your opponent, Reina might be the way to go. But if you want an easier approach, then here's the easiest character in the game by far. Asuka Kazama is literally designed and tailor-made for newcomers. This character is absolutely bona fide simplicity. So there's nothing to her. If you want a character with execution, Asuka is not the one for you. If you want a character that just basically plays herself, gross, this is the character for you. Asuka is the shit, in that sense. I don't like this character at all. She's boring and brain dead, but maybe that's for you. Maybe you want a brain dead character because the game, Tekken, is so not brain dead that you don't want to have to be battling your character at the same time that you're battling an opponent. Perfectly sound and reasonable thing to think, so don't worry about things like tier lists. I know a lot of newcomers will come into this game and say, like, hey, you know, what's a top tier character I can pick? Or what character do you think is bottom tier? None. We don't have a tier list yet. Don't worry about that stuff. That's not a concept we need to even have in our brains yet. Looking at a tier list and picking your character by, what the tier list indicates is not the greatest way to go about picking a character. You might lose interest in the game really fast because just because your character is top tier, you're going to decide to choose them. And then once they get nerfed, which every character will inevitably get nerfed because balance patches exist, in fact we just had one, that character might become weaker as a result, and then you won't do as well with them because you're relying too much on the character to carry you through the game. And when they get nerfed, they're no longer able to carry you as far. So then you lose interest in the game, and then you drop Tekken entirely. So you don't really want to settle for that. You want to settle on a character that appeals to you in every sense of the word. I love Kazuya because he appeals to me personality-wise. I love his personality. I think he's a badass villain. Villains are always the most interesting part of the story, and Kazuya is a bona fide villain. But at the end of the day, if looks are all that matters to you, then go with whatever character looks the most appealing. I mean, everybody loves how King looks. You know, King's a badass. He's a wrestler. Who doesn't love a wrestler with a jaguar mask on his head? The way that he plays is a lot of fun. His grapples are crazy. It's a lot of work to play against King, but man, he's a lot of fun to play. And, you know, it just depends on what kind of person you are and what kind of character suits you and your personality. Again, easy characters. I will list off some easy ones that I can throw out right now that might appeal to the newcomers. So we got Asuka, like I said, is the easiest character in the game. Another character that's extremely easy is Lily. She doesn't have a whole lot of, I mean, she's got a couple of stances with back turn and stuff, but other than that, she's really... There's nothing to her. You can just mash 3+4 all day long and you'll get through green ranks, no problem. Alisa is, she requires a little bit more knowledge, but she's, I'd say, still one of the easiest characters in the game. She's a little bit more difficult than these two that I previously mentioned. But Alisa is good. You gotta learn some chainsaw tactics, but those chainsaws of hers are ridiculously broken. If you're a low-ranked player, they can be pretty annoying. Other characters that are super easy to use. Azucena plays herself. The stances she has with back turn, and the other one I can't remember what the fuck it's called, because I don't care. I've labbed this character for like 10 hours, and I still don't know what her stances are called, whatever. Theoretically, you could just play this character by pressing while running 3-2, and you do just fine. That move is ridiculously strong, and there's not a whole lot of answers to it besides block. So it's pretty strong in that sense, and I definitely recommend her if you want some easy wins. What else we got? We got other easy characters. June is one of the coolest chicks in the game because she's Kazuya's girlfriend, so who doesn't love that? But damn, dude, she is so powerful, even with the nerfs that just came out for her. She's the strongest character in the game still, I think. A lot of pros think as well. She has an insane heat smash. Her frames are out of this world. She's safe on pretty much everything. Her projectiles are all safe on block, and there's no downside to them really at all, besides the fact that she takes a little bit of chip damage, which, I mean, at that point, who cares? There's nothing to chip damage. Her chip damage is recoverable the second that she gets you in a combo with one of those projectiles. She gains back all the health she lost with that chip damage, so really, really strong character. Has a 13 frame heat engager, which is crazy. 13 frame heat engager is nuts. I mean, Kazuya has one too, but his is like minus 19 on block. Against the wall, you're gonna die from that. Hers is only minus 12 on block, which is insane. Don't worry about that stuff. The frame data and crap we'll go into a little bit later on in the series. I'm gonna make this a series on how to play Tekken. Hopefully it's not gonna be too insanely difficult to grasp for a lot of players. But, yeah, there you go. So, June, another easy one would be Lars. Very, very easy character. Leroy, same detail, extremely easy, plays himself pretty much. And Law, I would say, is the final one on the list of just pure, simplified, there's nothing to these characters type of concept. So, you know, there's the list of easy ones for you. If you want the most difficult characters in the game, I'm going to go ahead and list them out right now. In my opinion, the top characters most difficult in the game, Kazuya is number 1. If I had to pick a number 2, it would probably be Lee. Lee requires a lot of heavy execution in his combos and his punishment, and just in general. He's a very high execution character, and he doesn't get a whole lot of damage if you don't have the execution. Same thing with Kazuya. So you do need to learn not only the fundamentals of Tekken to play the characters that I'm talking about, but you need to learn fundamentals about the character specifically, which is it's like playing a different type of game when you play this type of character. It's a lot of fucking fun, you ask me. But the other ones, Brian, another extremely hard character, not as difficult as he was in Tekken 7. You could argue the same thing for Kazuya and Lee. They're both easier than they were in Tekken 7, but they're still in a game full of extremely easy characters with updated mechanics that make it easier for newcomers. And Brian hasn't changed a lot. His taunt back 4 is still extremely important to know if you want to learn wall pressure with Brian, which is so crucial. So Brian's very, very execution heavy as well, and may not be recommended for newcomers unless you are looking for a challenge. So, although his Snake Edge will definitely carry you through the green ranks and probably well into yellow ranks. Steve Fox. Steve's another character that's really, really difficult to use, I'd say. You know, he's just pure boxing. He has no kicks aside from his get-up kicks and a couple of hop kicks and a couple of stomps. There's really nothing he does with his legs. It's all boxing moves. So, very interesting character. Has a lot of cancels in his move list that you need to learn that are also very high and demanding in execution. The cancels are very important for his wall carry and just combo damage in general. They're not as difficult as something like learning a perfect electric or something, but it's definitely tricky. It's going to take some time to learn this stuff. Steve is one of my favorite characters. Another difficult one would be Devil Jin. I'd say he's probably the 5th hardest character in the game. He's a little more brain dead than he was in Tekken 7, thanks to that shackle move he has, and the Morning Crow 1. Morning Crow 1 is +8 on block. It's very sidesteppable, especially now after the nerf it just received in the latest balance patch, but it's still an insanely strong move. Abuse the shit out of it. Other than that, you still require wave dash, you still require execution with electrics, and his combos aren't that easy to pull off. So, Devil Jin is not classic Mishima style like he was in Tekken 7, but he's still very much a Mishima, which makes him automatically one of the hardest characters in the game, just by default. That's the style of Mishima. That's the archetype of Mishima. They're supposed to be difficult. And for the last of the difficult characters, Reina is definitely up there. She's probably the easiest of all the difficult characters I've listed so far, but between her being a Mishima with the electric, the Waivus, the 1-1-2 punish, and the Hell Sweep that she's got, those are the traits that a Mishima needs to have to be considered a Mishima, so she is definitely Mishima, but she has things that can carry you a little bit easier in the lower ranks, like her stances and all this stuff, and her poking is really not too bad. She's got some decent damage in her combos. I'm not talking like just 80 damage. She can do like 97 damage combos without really any effort, with no wall, too. You don't even need a wall for that. Or rage. 97 damage combo with no counter hit even. It's pretty freaking insane what she gets. Definitely check Reina out if you're looking for a bit of a challenge and you want an execution-heavy character, but you don't want to have a character that just completely relies on execution and is 100% reliant on you as a player, like Kazuya or Steve or Lee or something. Reina can throw around some bullshit. She can fuck your opponent up with stuff that they don't know how to deal with, but she also can be the kind of character where you dictate how good she is. She doesn't have to carry you. So she's kind of an in-between. That's why I'm talking about her last in the list of difficult characters. She's not as hard as the first 5 I listed. She has more bullshit than they do. But she's definitely trickier than, I'd say, the rest of the cast that's on here. So she belongs in the top 6 hardest characters in the game. So there's the breakdown that I'm going to give you guys. I hope that works for now. Just at the end of the day, what are you looking for? Cool moves? Of all the characters I just listed now, you can probably pick out which one has the coolest moves. Which one looks the coolest. Which one's the most appealing to you in terms of personality. Which one's all dripped out the best. Maybe you like the way they're dressed, but you don't like the way they look. I don't know. It could be fucking anything. Their voice, for example. Like, I will never play a character like Alisa because her voice drives me fucking batshit. But I still understand the idea of picking her as a main character for players like Cuddlecore, because she's extremely strong, she doesn't require execution, and she's a very reliable character for tournaments. So if that's what you're looking for, characters like Alisa are fantastic, June is fantastic, Jack is fantastic, great tournament character, this guy. Another very easy character to use, I'd say he's probably one of the easiest in the game. I just didn't list him off earlier, but he's up there for sure. Yeah, it's up to you. What do you want? Pick what appeals to you the most and enjoy the game. Hope you got something out of this. It's going to be a series. I'm going to keep talking about the game from now on. So we're going to make a little bit of a video series going forward. And, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share this video around, and we're going to continue on with the playlist after this one. So take it easy, keep rocking out, and keep gaming.